Hello everyone, my name is Najeska Jack. Welcome to Shining Light, and thank you for joining us on radio and also online. As usual, we'll open up the lines for your questions and comments in a few moments. Please call us or send us a WhatsApp message or a voice note at 318-4815. That's 318-4815. Or if you prefer, you can also share your thoughts on our Statia Government Facebook page. Later, we'll discuss volcano monitoring with volcanological Elske van Dalven, who's from the Netherlands Meteorological Institute, better known as KNME. But first, the 2024 hurricane season began on Saturday, and forecasters predict a very active season. The predictions are between 17 and 25 named storms, with winds of 39 miles per hour or higher. 8 to 13 of these storms are forecast to become hurricanes, with winds of 74 miles per hour or higher. 4 to 7 will be major hurricanes of category 3, 4, or 5, with winds of 111 miles or higher if the predictions holds. Needless to say, these powerful storms can cause catastrophic damage to homes and infrastructure. And while we encourage you to be prepared, how prepared is Statia Government? We'll hear from Ruben Lopes from Stucco and Police Officer Roberto Hodge. But first, here's a reminder.
Get ready, stay sharp, don't you wait. Hurricane season, it's not too late. Gotta be ready, gotta be prepared, that's the key. Don't wait till the last minute. You see, fix your roof, trim those trees, stock up on supplies and show that you care. Make sure you stock, get your flashlights, pack them up tight, batteries, water, medicines, bottled water, first aid kit, cash fully charged, mobile phone. Oh, it's gonna be a long night. Board up the windows, protect your home. Don't leave it to chance, girl, you're not alone. Stock up your pantry, don't forget the food, canned goods and non-perishables. Do charge up your phone, stay connected with your crew. Stay sharp, don't you worry, you'll make it through. Watch the news, stay updated. Turn up the volume, don't be sedated. Listen to the warnings, take them to heart. We gotta be smart, we gotta be smart. Be prepared, stay sharp. Be prepared, stay sharp. Be prepared, stay sharp. Get ready.
Okay, that was the video of the 2024 hurricane season. I would like to welcome you gentlemen for joining me on Shining Light program as we're going to discuss the 2024 hurricane season.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Lopes, you just watched a video, as I mentioned, with the 2024 hurricane season. What are your thoughts about the video? Have you seen it on our JS Facebook page?
No, I haven't. I believe I received it via WhatsApp. So I did see it, but not on Facebook page.
Okay, and what were your thoughts about it?
Well, it's good, it's informative. It's giving you the names and everything of the hurricane season, how the hurricanes predicted, and giving you information as to how to be prepared, which is what we need.
Thank you. And Mr. Hodge, what are your thoughts of the video you just watched?
I share the thoughts of Mr. Lopes, indeed informative, and hope that everyone takes heed and prepare as much as they can.
Yeah. I also mentioned in prediction that this will be a very active hurricane season. I know last week there were a meeting with the disaster committee. Can you share some information on what was discussed within the meeting, just to inform the public what all will be happening when it comes to the disasters for the hurricane season?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to again thank you for the opportunity to be here and say good morning to all of those within the sound of our voice. Yes, the meeting that we had was indeed was convened by the disaster manager and all of the ESF, the emergency services, were present, and in essence, everyone was giving their thoughts, giving a report on their preparedness for each department. With regards to the police, we gave some information about our police operation and how prepared are we. And I can inform you that we are prepared, and our internal emergency operation process is online, and we are ready to go.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Ross, yeah, you work at Stuco, and what is the role within Stuco when it comes to the disaster for hurricane season?
Well, for water, you are always advised to fill a few buckets and have it available for you, because at Category 1 or maybe even a storm, we will shut down the water network, and that's just there to prevent something hitting a line outside of the manifold and draining the entire tank. So you are advised to keep a few buckets of water available. For electricity, anything higher than a Category 3 will take the power off.
Okay.
From Category 3 and below, will still will have the power on still.
And what about with the solar panels? Due to the fact that the whole island is 80% on the solar panels.
Well, the solar park itself is rated for Category 4 hurricane, and as we can see in 2017 it withstood Category 5 with no damage basically, which was good. Yeah, we have engines to supply if the solar park can't supply, so we still have the diesel engines available.
Okay. I know a couple of years ago I had one of your colleagues on Shadow Night program, and they also discussed when they're getting ready for hurricane season, they just go on the road to trim the trees. Is that also still available for that?
Yeah,
when they come into the current lines?
We still do that basically, but what we're trying to do now is stay ahead. We're not just waiting for the hurricane season to come or a hurricane to come. We try and get that done right away, and you have various contractors as well as government also taking that initiative to get stuff done already before a hurricane comes to the island.
Mr. Hodge, what is the role of a police officer when it comes to these disasters?
There are various activities that that falls under our responsibility. From an internal perspective, we prepare by initiating our emergency response program process, which is if there is a threat of a hurricane Category 3 or higher, within 3 days of the predicted arrival, we have a program where a group of 6 officers will be flown in prior to the hurricane arriving to assist with the police operation. There's a group of officers, standard 10 in total, that are prepared and ready, that can travel at a moment's notice. And that is what we have already prepared. In the event of such a type of situation, we have a command structure that will be directly initiated, where the police operation would be partially managed from Bonaire. There will be all of the management personnel that will be immediately activated, and together with the local command structure, together we will manage the police operation. We also would, of course, initiate 24-hour active police duty. As you know, in regular outside of crisis situations, usually the hours between 12 midnight and 8, there is police on call, not in active duty, but in those sort of situations, we don't have 24-hour a day active duty. We also have, from operation perspective, we have satellite telephones that, in case there is a fallout of communication, that we still have connection with the necessary authorities that we need. As a matter of fact, all of the emergency services have satellite telephones for which they can contact each other and outside of Statia as well. Yes, so that's where the operation is concerned, that we prepare. And our task, to answer your question directly, is to maintain law and order. Unfortunately, during these kinds of crises, sometimes that can bring up the worst in some individuals where they engage in criminal activities, looting. Over the years, at least from my experience since I've been here, over 27 years, we haven't had a major hurricane, but you would see it around in other places where people tend to engage in criminal activities just in the moment when there's a crisis. So those are things that we are prepared for. Our advice to businesses, and that's in line with the preparedness video that you spoke about, where we encourage people to secure their property, have already a contingency plan in place where if that's a shutdown operation, that's already thought of all of the what should be done and what should not be done to protect and to safeguard their places. And in worst case scenario, if there's well, not worse, but one of the scenarios that can present itself is that a curfew can be implemented.
Yeah, that's my following question, about a curfew.
And the decision to institute a curfew that will be done together with the governor, and if there's a necessity to do so, it will be done. But there are criteria that are required to make such a decision, and in that case we'll ask the public their cooperation, because that will be necessary if it becomes that way. We also have an agreement with the military, that's with the island government, if there should be a need for rapid assistance from the military to help us execute the police processes. That is already existing cooperation between the government and the military. Usually when these types of situations are threatening, they will already be the area so that they can be deployed if there's a need to do so on any one of the islands within the Dutch Caribbean. Okay. So those are some of the aspects that we are engaged in during crisis situation.
You mentioned about the curfew. When do a curfew takes place?
The basic premise for instituting a curfew, if there is a threat to public order and safety, a severe threat, and it is a need to safeguard, that is one aspect that can be taken, one measure that can be taken. There's also, during curfew, we can set up roadblocks to help control how people are moving, and that's mainly the reason for that is to safeguard lives, to safeguard property. And depending on the developments on the island and how the community is responding to the crisis, then that decision will be taken together with all the circumstances, together with the governor is the one that has the authority to institute such a measure.
Okay. If you'd like to send any questions or comments, you can send us a WhatsApp message on 318-4815. I know, Mr. Hodge, for that curfew, you know, they still have persons who still want to go outside and don't want to abide by the rules, what will be the consequences of that?
Well, as is the case with the violation of any law, a person can be prosecuted, they can be arrested, and they can be placed in detention for the duration of the investigation and or pending the decision of the prosecutor. This is something that we would discourage, because just at the time of a crisis we need all hands on deck, and that if we have to go and put manpower into investigations, those types of investigation diminishes our deployment capacity. So if it's needed, we will do it, but we will ask the community to adhere to all of the measures and all of the requirements that is given by government. Fortunately for us, like I said, over the years we have not had such a catastrophic situation where that became a necessity. But sometimes we can do it also as a preventive measure. Again, depending on the situation and if there's a need for it. And public order and safety is the main focus for such a measure.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Lopes, I asked you earlier about the trimming of the trees, if it's necessary. Can you also assist with persons who have their homes and do not have any help with trimming of the trees? Does TUCO also abide with assisting people with that also?
Yes, we do. That usually happens close to when a storm or hurricane is approaching. And mostly we do it with the help of government, public works, and such. So you can get in contact with public works, and when they need assistance, they will contact us and ask for assistance.
Okay, and you know, when storms is coming, of course everybody will know, and everybody will also will like to be rushing to get things done. Will it also be advised for them to call earlier?
Yeah, the early bird catches the worm, as they say. If everyone is waiting for us at the moment when the storm is coming, we can't be in 3 places at the same time. So we did advise to get it done early. If you know this is an issue, contact the public works. They can help you. If not, they will contact us and we'll move from there.
Okay. And with the water, you mentioned that the water system will be shut off.
Yeah.
And do you know how long it will be shut off after the storm?
Not long, because once the storm has passed, we'll come out and start to get it back up, basically. So you're looking at less than a day. We just have to make sure everything is okay, and then we'll go from there.
And what about the current? You know, as you mentioned also that it's 80% of the island is solar, is hooked up to the solar panels.
Yeah, so basically in some cases we have our medium voltage still in the air. Where we have, those are bare conductors that we will turn off, so you will have some areas out of power, regardless if it's the category 1 or higher. But for the rest, yeah, we will have the power off, but after the storm, like I said, we'll be back up in no time.
Okay. It'd also be a good idea for persons who have electronics to also have their portable devices there to be charged, because you never know how long the current will be off, you know. Nobody can really predict what will be happening when a storm comes along.
Yeah.
So unfortunately the disaster coordinator is not here, so you can go to more in depth with the disaster. I know they have a hurricane shelter that is by the SDA Church, by the what's the name of it again? The Newton's Pasture. And do also, maybe Mr. Hodge, you can enlighten us. What can happen when a person needs to be transported to the hurricane shelter? Or during the storm then?
As a general rule, and that's not only in Statia, that's all over the world, at the moment that a hurricane has arrived, then the advice is to stay in place, shelter in place. That's why, with regards to what Mr. Loeb just mentioned, you have to prepare ahead of time if your department would give out information from the government advising people to go to the shelter, and they would describe the individual that for example, the home is in a particular vulnerable area, or the building itself that they're in is susceptible to the heavy rains and wind, so they will be advised to go early. And no emergency services will come to rescue you during the hurricane, so that's why it's always advisable to prepare ahead and make use of the opportunities that is available. Listen to the broadcasts that is being given out concerning precautions and dangerous situations, and act accordingly. If the medical personnel were here, they would be advising to stock up any medications early. The flights, airports will be closed, so there will be no medication coming in, or they will be limited for a period of time. So those are all information that is generally available with the announcements leading up to the hurricane season and during. So with regards to the shelter, you need to go as early as you can, and there are restrictions because there's not everything that you can take to the shelter. There are restrictions about what you can, like taking animals or taking stuff. So there's restriction of what you can take. So those are things to familiarize yourself with before, and not wait until it's threatening at the moment's notice. Then you want all information and trying to prepare. Then it was kind of late. But so preparation is key. And just two things I wanted to mention with regards to the police operation is the customs, the KMAR, the Dutch Royal Marché, and those are entities, law enforcement, that in those situations we will also pool our resources together to ensure public order and safety is guaranteed. And as well as I would like to, the entities that will be on the road that will be needed to, after the onset of a hurricane, we will have hurricane passes, as is the case by every hurricane. It will be good for those entities to early send into the crisis manager, and so that they can be aware of the amount of people and the criteria and the rules and regulations as it pertains to the use of the hurricane passes. That's for emergency service that will be on the road after a hurricane hit. And there's also some vehicles would use what they call rotating lights, so that they can be identified. There's also rules and regulations where that is concerned. With our new traffic ordinance, it's regulated, so individuals can apply for such a permit at the governor's office, and there's a criteria. The color of the light makes a difference as well. Okay. So not just any individual can just take rotating lights, put them on, and drive on a public road. There are some regulations regulating how that is done. So these are things that you can start to inform about early, and don't wait until the last minute, then it becomes an issue. So that will be my word of encouragement to businesses, organizations, individuals that need to be deployed in those kind of situations. Would make it easier for them and for those who are implementing the measures.
Okay. As our culture, when a storm is coming, let's hope not, everyone is quick to go do their last minute shopping. Do the businesses have a time frame to be open and to be closed?
Well, details about that, the crisis manager would be the ideal person to give the details on that. But of course, from a general perspective, we would always encourage people at the beginning of the hurricane season, again referring back to the video where they encourage to stock up on supplies. that will last through the hurricane season, so that in the event there's a threat, that you don't have what we call the panic shopping, where unfortunately in those cases sometimes the police is called in to be able to control. Some people get aggressive, and they become desperate, and they're fighting over basic food supplies. So it's always encouraged individuals, and it's encouraged to have a stock up on non-perishable goods, so that in the event there is a threat, there's not a widespread panic where people rush to the supermarkets, rush to the gas stations, and it becomes a sort of chaotic situation. So that is some of the aspects that you have to prepare for as well.
Okay. Mr. Lopes, which areas will be without electricity for when a category storm approaches between 1 and 3?
Those areas is you have around Zelania area. Those are still overhead. Unfortunately, going back to the resort, yeah, unfortunately, you have the last area in White Wall, which is around the lodges area, and that is down Lynch area, down by the Burkle Dam and those areas.
Okay. And I also mentioned earlier that 80% of the islands will have current during the storms. And why 80%?
Well, because we have those areas I just mentioned are still above ground, and there's no initial investment made for these areas as yet to put them underground, because they are small areas.
Okay. And do you all have an idea of when those areas will be fixed, so have the whole island full of electricity?
That is hard to say. We're not sure, but that's hard to say.
Okay. Mr. Hodge, do you have any closing remarks you'd like to inform the public, especially now during the hurricane season?
We're just joining the committee in encouraging everyone to prepare, follow the instructions given. There's a lot of information out there, the government Facebook page, there's information available, and we pray and hope that we will have a safe hurricane season where everyone can be safe, and yes.
And also persons who needed to get a hurricane pass, also to apply early, or who do they have to go to when they want a hurricane pass?
I would hope that within short, the crisis manager will provide that information as to where and how, but that information will be forthcoming from the crisis manager's department and or the governor's office, but those are the ones that are responsible for providing information as to where and when they can apply, who they can apply by, and what's the circumstances that can be done under.
Okay. And Mr. Lopes, do you have any closing remarks?
Yes, don't get caught with your pants down. Be prepared. Be prepared.
And also shops for anything what is needed. Also, I forgot to mention the important documents. Always keep them safe. Have them, like your passport, your ID, your driver's license, doctor's papers. Keep them safe. Maybe even put them in a Ziploc bag, and to have them stock away, and always have them with you. Thank you once again, gentlemen, for being here on today's program.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And for the listening public who's listening on the radio and also online, don't go away, and we'll be right back. Statia. A member of the team, Elske de Zeuy, joined us. Thank you for stopping by, Elske.
Good morning.
I know this is not our first time meeting, so what information would you like to share with us and also to the ones who's listening on radio and also online?
Okay, so I can explain why we are on the island this time.
Yeah.
So as you know, we do detailed volcano monitoring and also we look at earthquakes and tsunami warning. But this time we're here especially for the volcano monitoring.
Okay.
And what we're doing is we're conducting what we call a campaign GNSS survey. And let me explain.
I was just going to ask you, can you go in more depth about it?
Yeah, let me explain to you what that is. So we have our permanent stations on the island, which send data every day to KNMI for us to look at. But then to complement those measurements, we have extra points on the island that we measure once or twice a year. And that's what we're doing now. We're measuring these extra points, so they're in between our permanent stations to make the measurement network more dense and give us more information. And these points, they look like it's an anchor in the ground. And then when we come to the site, we screw a stick into the anchor and we put an antenna on top. And this antenna receives signals from satellites that circle our planet. And with all these measurements, we can then really precisely define the location of the point. So we measure actually that location very precisely with time. And then we can see two important things. The first one is how the point moves with time, because we're on a tectonic plate. Statia is on the Caribbean plate, and the whole plate basically moves to the northeast, and we can see that in the data, this movement. Then the second thing that we're looking for is if there would be changes, so it would not only be this normal movement, but you can imagine that if magma would flow into the volcano, then it would swell up, and this we could also see if it would occur. But currently, there is no such thing.
Okay, thank you for that. And how long will the team be here on Statia doing these tests?
So we arrived here last week, and we will be finishing our measurements today, actually. And then tomorrow we will go to Seba, where we do similar measurements, actually exactly the same measurements for the island there. And then we will take this data home and look at the results, and we'll let you know and keep you posted. We have a Facebook page where people can read what we do. It's called Volcano Monitoring, and people can join us there and find out more about our work.
Okay. And how regularly do you visit Statia and Seba?
So we try to come twice a year. Usually one time beginning and then one time at the end of the year.
It felt like we just met when you were here the last time.
Yeah, that was October, November.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we're back now, and then we hope to be coming again in October and November. Yeah, and during these times we also visit the permanent sites and for regular maintenance. You can imagine that there's always vegetation growing over the site, so we clear it and we clean it and we check that everything is in order and working well.
And where are these sites located around the islands?
So the permanent sites, we have one at the airport, and then we have one at Whitewall Hotel facility.
Okay.
We have one at the Botanical Gardens, and then the final one is at Bengalen. We have another one.
Okay.
So those are the four permanent ones, and then the ones we're measuring now, there is one at the top of the Quill.
Okay.
That's
quite a hike.
That's quite a hike, yes. Then there is one at Burkle Road.
Okay.
One at the Sports Foundation, and the final one is if you drive towards the Botanical Gardens, there is one of the side.
We had a discussion the last time you were here that there's one also going to the Botanical Gardens.
Yes,
also.
yes, all off the road. Yes.
Okay. Is there an increase of the volcano activity?
No, there is not currently, but it's really important to monitor it, because if you look at these data through time, you really establish a baseline of background activity, what is normal for this volcano, because every volcano worldwide behaves different. And therefore it's really important to understand how this volcano behaves and really monitor this through time so we can see when it changes and we can tell you about it.
Okay. And God forbid, if you see any activities, what will be the first step that you all will do?
Well, of course, the first step would be to verify all the data and make sure that before we give a warning that we're sure that there would be something, then the local authorities would be warned and they could transmit this message to you. And we would, of course, intensify the monitoring. So as soon as we would notice there would be more changes, we would come and take more measurements so we can keep closer track on what is going on.
Okay. And as you mentioned, the quail is likely no time to erupt, right?
No, it's currently really very quiet.
Right.
Yeah. Unlike some other volcanoes in the island chain.
Okay.
So you have, for example, the La Souvière volcano on Guadeloupe, which is currently acting up a little bit. It's showing some signs of activity, and the same goes for Mount Pelée on Martinique also. And then further down the chain you have Kikumjeni, which is also always showing some signs of activity.
Does it also have a trend being with all these volcanoes? A trend as in, how to explain it? If one volcano erupt, the other one will erupt also?
No, fortunately not. So they're not connected.
Okay.
So these volcanoes, each of them, they have their individual plumbing system, if you want to call it that, and so they are not connected from one to the next. So.
And can you tell us in your own words how vulnerable is Statia to the volcano?
Vulnerable?
Yes.
Well, if there would be a volcanic eruption here, then of course the volcano is on one side of the island. So you actually, first of all, there would likely be warning time, because we've seen, for example, in the last eruption at St. Vincent, that there was already activity in December, and then the really big eruption was in April. So there were several months of warning time. So that is something that we would also expect here, that there would be time to prepare, that it wouldn't just erupt from one day to the next. So that's a good thing. And you also have the northern side of the island where there is no active volcano. So that would also potentially be a place where you could be a little bit safer.
Okay. When a volcano erupts, I think they just go to sleep after, correct me if I'm wrong, and how long does the volcano sleeps when it erupts?
And so this depends from one volcano to the next. So volcanologists, they call the volcano active if it erupted in the last 10,000 years. So we really look at volcanoes at a very long time scale.
Okay. Why I asked that question, I know a couple of months ago I was watching the news, I think it's a volcano in Europe, not sure. It erupted, and after 2 or 3 months again, it erupted also.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked how long does it take?
So maybe that was in Iceland that you saw. So
yeah.
Currently in Iceland they have what they call fissure eruptions, and really just the earth splits open and there is lava coming out. Mm-hmm. And those kind of eruptions, they can occur very follow up very frequently. So they can happen every few months. The volcanoes here, if you look at Montserrat, for example.
I could remember that. That was years ago.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but remember also it was a phase where it erupted on and off over a years period, decade, and then it was erupting quite frequently during this time. And then now it's really quiet again.
Because I know when it did erupt a couple of years back, I know that village had to, of course, evacuate.
Yeah, Plymouth, yeah.
Yes. Do people live there now again?
No, they don't. It's still, they have a permanent, as they call, permanent danger zone where you're not allowed to enter, because there is could potentially be activity.
If the volcano in Guadeloupe erupts, will it affect Statia?
That could indeed be the case, but not that there would be lava here. But what could happen, and this mostly depends on the winds, and fortunately most time the wind comes from the east, right? So then it wouldn't come here. But if the wind would move from the other side, then it could be that there would be some ash coming this way, or sulfur dioxide. And that, of course, can be irritating for people, especially those that have asthma or something like that. Maybe you remember a long time ago when there was the eruption in Canary Islands, even the sulfur dioxide came here all the way over the ocean, and actually you could smell it here.
Okay. When was the last did the quill erupt?
The last eruption of the quill, it's a very good question, because volcanologists, they try to find out about this, but it's very difficult to establish. So the best they can do is they come up with a date around the year 400, 500, something like that.
Okay.
So that's quite a long time ago. But the difficulty is to really establish this date. Usually we use carbon dating for that, but you need to find charcoal from that eruption to be able to date it, and that's not so easy to find.
Okay. I don't know if I missed anything out, but would you like to inform us any more details regarding the visits?
I think if people like to know more, it would be nice if they join the Facebook group. They can also always reach out to us through this group. They can ask us a question, or if there's anything they want to know about, then they can send a message there and we will respond.
Okay. Thanks, Elske, for joining us. And also I'd like to thank everyone who was listening on radio and also online. And before we wrap up, here's an invitation to be part of the Statia Nature Festival, what will take place on the 13th and the 14th of June at the Johan Cruijff Court. Enter the Nature Song Contest and win a cash prize of $300, or enter the Conks in Dumpling Competition, Goat and Vegetarian Colony Competition. You can contact the ENI at 319-7227 for more information. And also, it's election day for the European Parliament tomorrow. If you need a replacement voting card, today is your last day to submit in person a request. And don't forget to vote tomorrow, as in every vote counts. That's Shedding Light for today. Next week, we'll be having Elena Hunt from Social Support, who will join us to talk about Aware of Business, and also the anniversary of the slave revolt of the 12th of June 1848. Until then, for our videographer and engineer Michael Spanner and all the GIS staff, I am Jessica Jack. Thank you for joining us, and do have a good day further.